Shalom, peace be unto you. Welcome to Secrets Revealed, the Holy Bible. Today we're looking at Numbers chapter 8. There are 26 verses in this chapter. We're going to skip these IG means ignore, so you will see those in the description box. Verse 7 is where we find our first significant difference. Verse 7 says, "And thus shall you do unto them to cleanse them, sprinkle water of purifying upon them, and let them shave all their flesh, and let them wash their clothes, and make themselves clean." The Septuagint says, "And thus shall you perform their purification. You shall sprinkle them with water of purification, and a razor shall come upon the whole of their body, and they shall wash their garments, and shall be clean." So note that they shaved all their hair off. And we notice the difference here is they shall be clean versus make themselves clean. So they will be. It was through obeying Yah's specific instructions that made them clean and not their own actions. It's not their own will. It's Yah's will, Yah's instructions that provided that for them. And I also noticed a difference here: perform their purification versus to cleanse them. So that's an additional difference I didn't notice at first. Let me just type that. Okay, moving on. We see verse 11. Verse 11 says, "They shall be prepared to perform the works of Yah," versus, "and they shall execute the service of Yah." So they're going to be not only doing the works, they're going to be prepared. There's some training that has to be done. There's orientation, you could say, not just doing it and winging it. I'm not saying they're winging it, but there is an open interpretation to take this verse and say, okay, well, they're executing it, but did they prepare? And the answer is no, not in the Masoretic at least. We have a huge omission in verse 13. It says here, "You shall set the Levites before Yah." And it doesn't say that in the Masoretic. So that's a huge omission. Verse 15, we see here, "Present them before Yah." Again, this is, I think, is reiterating what we just read. You shall separate the Levites, and the Levites shall go in to perform the works, and you shall purify them and present them before Yah. Verses, again, offer them for an offering. You're offering what, the Levites? Is this human sacrifice? It isn't, being facetious, but again, it's not as clear. It is a little muddied, the language in the Masoretic text. And once again, they omit that they are being presented before Yah, not just an offering for anyone. No, a specific God or Elohim, whatever you prefer. And that's Jehovah. It's Yah. Moving on, the next verse is 15, I should say 16. "These are given unto me for a present," talking about the Levites, versus, "They are wholly given unto me." So everything is given to him. I mean, that's also partly true. However, that's just not how it's rendered in the text. Among the children of Israel, instead of such as take in the womb, okay, open every womb, I should say. It says here, "Of all the children of Israel have I taken them unto me." So that's an addition there. I think, well, what is the real difference here? They are given to him as a gift, the Levites, and that's important to note. They are precious in his sight, I would have to say, from the tone of this verse. Verse 19 is the next significant difference, or at least something I should mention. It says, "Thus there shall be none among the sons of Israel to draw near or nigh to the holy things, because it is appointed to the Levites." Okay. And Aaron and his sons. So that's who should be doing that work. They're the only ones who should draw near. No one else of Israel can go except the Levites, the sons of Aaron as well. Verses, there shall be no plague. Okay. There shall be no plague among the children of Israel when the children of Israel come near to the sanctuary. So, wow, actually, it's, it's a pretty massive difference. One is saying, uh, uh, wrong. Basically, I'm saying it's wrong. They're forbidden to draw near to the holy things, the children of Israel that are not the Levites, not the sons of Aaron. There is no excuse or protection for breaking the rules. If they do so, they will be met with death. There's no partiality here. Recall, even the sons, I believe they're the sons of Aaron, Nahab and Abihu, and they were killed. They were not exempted. What more the children of Israel who are not even qualified based on their tribe? They have not been given as a gift to Yah. Okay, let me just rewind a little bit. Yes, they have been prepared, and they are to be before Yah. It says here in verse 13, just reminding, you shall give them as a gift. So again, reiterating that they are a gift to Yah. They are to be given as an offering to Him in terms of their service, in terms of their lives, actually, even. They're supposed to dedicate their lives in service to Him. Okay, moving on to verse 21. So, verse 21, we see the Levites purified themselves versus they were purified. So, the Septuagint is more specific. The Levites are the ones cleaning themselves. They're not just standing there and having a royal, being washed like the royal, like coming to America kind of thing. You are now purified, Levite. No, they have to do it themselves. They're not just standing there lazy. Verse 24, this is the ordinance for the Levites versus this, that unto the Levites, or this is the for the Levites. Uh, I think the brackets really determines what it is, but again, these brackets don't really exist, so it's hard to say. Initially I said the Septuagint is more specific in this instance, but to be honest, they're both kind of nebulous. If we're being really straightforward and not biased, because that's not. I'm not trying to come from a biased place, just trying to come from a place of truth. Okay, so notice that both say 25 years old. Okay, whereas previously, when we looked at earlier chapters in this book, the Masoretic said 30 years old to minister in the tabernacle, to do this work in other places. And then we see the wording to minister in the tabernacle versus to wait upon the service. So they're not just waiting there, just waiting to do the service or waiting on the service. Well, the modern vernacular twists things because to wait upon doesn't mean just sitting and waiting. It means to actually attend to serve. So to be honest, it's not that drastic of a difference, but I have to explain it again because our modern language has really changed the definition of these medieval terms from the 16th century, 15th century. Okay, moving on. Uh, Let me see. Okay, they are directly doing the service, not waiting upon it or some other diminished non-direct rule. Okay, very good. Verse 26, we see another difference here. It sounds like the brother who is younger will replace him, since when he reaches 50 years of life completed, um, okay, where's that 50 years here? I'm looking for that. Oh, here, verse 25 says, from 50 years old, the Levites shall cease from the ministry and shall not work any longer. So, I mean, normally in North America, the retirement age is in the 60s, 70s. Here it's 50. The Creator God is so logical, so reasonable. He's saying 50. That's a good age to retire. Imagine if we all retired at 50, what kind of world we would live in. So One scenario is that the 50-year-old Levite retires and does no work relating to the ministry of the tabernacle. So, in terms of lifting things, because maybe at that point it would be harder on their body if these are heavy items. However, the younger Levite brothers replace them. It says in verse 26, they replace them outright, perhaps, and they can then retire. The older ones, the 50-year-olds and 50-year-old Levites and older, they then can retire and enjoy their families, taking care of their families, being more, perhaps more active in their lives and more involved. But I'm not sure how that society functioned. Probably was more involved in their families just by default because of being an agrarian society, not as we have in our modern day, an industrial society. So the scenario is that the 50-year-old Levite, they don't work in the ministry. This is a possible second scenario. They're not working in the ministry, but keeping the charges only. So maybe they're carrying the burden of items, but hopefully not items that are too heavy. They're light enough that they can handle the load. Or so that's one scenario. And the younger Levite brothers can take over the more physically intense, physically demanding work. Okay, so that's all I have for today for Numbers chapter 8. Please tune in next time. We'll look at Numbers chapter 9. And please hit the like button, smash the subscribe, ring the bidding, ring the dingy ding, ring the bell, notification bell. Getting a little technical difficulties there. And we'll see you next time for Numbers chapter 9. You've been watching Secrets Revealed, the Holy Bible. Peace be unto you and shalom.